Hello, a day with Caleb. We are back with kind of the list that started this whole trend off, even though it's one of the later ones we're doing. This kind of sent me down the path of these kind of films. One hit wonders with directors and actors slash actresses. This is a lengthy list. We'll just dive right in with starting with directors. These are people that had one directed one movie that was a hit and then failed to capture that. They may have only done this one film, or maybe have done other films that failed to capitalize the same success as these. Starting with Philip Seymour Hoffman, he directed and starred in Jack Goes Boating. Great dramatic movie. Bill Murray directed Quick Change, which is a cool movie about clowns. Even though I don't like clowns, I do enjoy this movie, mainly because of Bill Murray. Marlon Brando directed One-Eyed Jacks, a great Western movie. Charles Lawton, The Night of the Hunter, and that's a great kind of psychological crime thriller. The guy has his knuckles tattooed. That's in my United Artists film set. Great movie. Go see it if you haven't. It's pretty solid. Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez, The Blair Witch Project, which was on a previous video, Box Office Surprises. This was, I think, their only film, their only successful film anyway. Josh Trank, who we talked about with Van Forstic, he did Chronicle, and that's why he's a one-hit wonder, because Fantastic Four failed at the box office. Chronicle, a great film though. Herc Harvey, Carnival of Souls. This is like when you get the horror movie packs, this is in almost every one of those, at least that I have. Carnival of Souls, but it's a great black and white horror film. Mary Herron, American Psycho, with Christian Bale, a deranged psychotic film. You see kind of the upper echelon descend into madness. Bon Zethan, Beast of the Southern Wild. Then we get to Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9. Such a solid film. He followed it up with Chappie, which could be interesting, but did not deliver. It had the couple from that, like, was it African band? They were in this movie as like the gang members. They were in Chappie, not District 9. Richard Kelly in Donnie Darko. I want to say he directed S. Darko too, but that was not nearly as successful as Donnie. Michael Cimino, Deer Hunter, a great Robert De Niro and William Dafoe movie. That kind of Russian roulette scene at the end, brutal. Troy Duffy Boondock Saints. You could say the sequel was at least to the level of the first movie, but not nearly as successful as Boondock Saints. Tony K, American History X, and there's so many brutal scenes in that movie. Then we get to one-hit wonders, actors slash actresses. Of course, Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone and Home Alone 2, kind of a dual package. He did act in other films, the Lost Son, is it, and Saved. He did other stuff, but just nothing. People know him for this one film, and he was kind of typecast. He did do My Girl, I remember too, and Pagemaster was pretty solid, kind of a live-action animation hybrid. Sam Worthington, who was in Avatar, one of the biggest box office successes. I think it still holds the number one spot all time box office as far as money goes. But he did some other stuff. He was in Tokyo Drift and a few things. Nothing came close to Avatar. Tom Arnold in True Lies, and this one, that was his best performance, but I will say Carpool is a great film, and Big Bully, both solid films. If you haven't seen those, go check those out. A couple years ago, got Tom Arnold to sign my Carpool DVD, and later on we did see his comedy show. Still funny, Tom Arnold. Then Brandon Roth, Superman Returns, really hasn't broken away from that Superman. They call it the Superman curse, starting with, of course, the original guy from the Adventures of Superman, then of course Christopher Reeve, then Dean Cain, he's been in a lot of stuff, but wasn't a mainstream kind of actor. But Brandon Routh hasn't been in much of anything since of note. Linda Blair, The Exorcist, her most known role, and that is wild as far as like the filming of that and the stories with Linda and the lady who plays the mom, William Friedkin. I think the mom and Linda both suffered from back issues after that, because they would whip them around with, essentially they laid on a board and would be tossed around, kind of like Jaws, that lady at the start. They kind of had ropes and were like pulling her back and forth. That kind of was what they had to deal with. Peter Ostrom, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, met him along with Veruca Salt and Mike TV at Fanboy Expo a year or so ago. But he didn't do anything after that. I think he's a animal doctor or a cow farmer or something interesting like that. Never acted again. Eminem in 8 Mile, his one and done. He's done cameos in one or two other movies, but nothing as far as the starring role ever again. Because you gotta lose yourself in the moment, right? Danny Lloyd in The Shining. I want to say this was his only role. Uh, that as far as like the backstory on that filming process was something too. I think there's a couple of documentaries about it. Paul Hogan, Crocodile Dundee, he did do two other sequels, but probably his most known performance, Rachel Lee Cook in She's All That, even though she did do the Pussycat Dolls based on the Hanna-Barbera show, and that's a pretty solid movie, but most known for She's All That. Rupert Grint from the Harry Potter movies, he's done a few movies and shows, but nothing to the level of stardom that Harry Potter is. Emma Roberts and Daniel Radcliffe have both gone on to have pretty successful careers. Rupert, not as much as the other two. Mark Hamill, most notably known for Star Wars, all the Star Wars, even though the last couple entries were not the greatest from Mark Hamill, I would probably counter with his voice being known for the Joker. Of course, that's not a starring role, that's a voiceover work, but I would probably know him more from the Batman side than the Star Wars side, even though those three Star Wars movies pretty great. Edward Furlong, known forever and always for T2 Judgment Day, the second Terminator film, and that's not terrible to be known for one of the greatest action films of all time. He did do a Crow sequel. Was it Wicked Prayer? There was a sequel to Crow. Then there was a Crow film with Kirsten Dunst. And I think Edward was the fourth Crow film. I can't. Was it Wicked Prayer? Somebody comment the sequel names. One of them is Wicked Prayer. I'm not sure if that was the Edward Furlong or the Kirsten Dunst. Anyway, but he will always be known for T2 Judgment Day. And I got him and Robert Patrick to sign my T2 Blu-ray a few years ago. Ralph Macchio will always be known as the Karate Kid, and it's sad to know that we're not getting any more Cobra Kai, because that was a fantastic show, and Ralph Macchio, of course, a big part of that. But he had three Karate Kid movies, all pretty solid entries in the franchise. Stevie B, Stephen Baldwin, The Usual Suspects, most known for this. He also did The Flintstones, and what I know him mostly for is Celebrity Mole, both of those seasons, Hawaii and Yucatan. If you haven't seen Celebrity Mole, either season, Hawaii or Yucatan, go. I'm sure they're on YouTube or somewhere, but Stevie B and Corbin Burnson steal both of those seasons. Even though Eric Van Detten from Brink he's in there as well. But they're both great. Great show, The Mall, as well. Haley Joel Osment from The Sixth Sense. He recently popped up out of nowhere in The Boys, which was weird. I don't have an Amazon account per se, but we do pet sit from time to time, and people that have more money to spend on stuff like that have these subscriptions. And I was able to watch. He plays like a mentalist in that one, which is kind of funny. And wasn't he in Tusk? Wasn't he in that? The Kevin Smith movie that absolutely is nuts. And we met the guy who did the special effects for that and Scream. Nightmare Fuel, that movie was Jason Long. Oh my goodness. Lacey Chabert for Mean Girls. And Josh is a big Lacey Chabert fan, especially with her Hallmark stuff she does. But most known for Mean Girls, Steven Seagal is kind of a meme of himself at this point. But Under Siege probably will go down as his most known film of the bunch. And for whatever reason, I'm trying to collect all the Steven Seagal films. I don't know percentage-wise what I'm at, but, when I see one that I don't have for a good price, I pick it up. Roddy Piper, They Live, I think is only performance in film, and a great one to be a part of, a good psychological sci-fi thriller. Alicia Silverstone in Clueless, I would kind of counter that Batman and Robin, people know her for that just as much as they know her for Clueless. And that's in my So Bad They're Good video, if you want to go back and check that out. Anthony Perkins will always be known as Norman Bates in Psycho, and the sequels are pretty solid. I think there's 3 sequels, so Psycho 2, 3, and 4. And I think there is a Bates Motel movie. I don't think that has Anthony Perkins in it. I could be wrong. But we rented those with our friend, the sequels, 2, 3, and 4, when we were 10 or 11, should not have been watching those at that age. But I forget what loophole we did. We were able to, to watch them. But those are great sequels to Psycho. It kind of delves more into Norman Bates's mental issues, if you will. John Heder, this is probably the best example of one-hit wonders. Napoleon Dynamite. He did do a few other things. He was in like Monster House and a few other comedies and rom-coms. But he will always be known for Napoleon Dynamite, probably the most quoted movie I've said in previous videos, but used to quote that movie all the time. That is it for our one-hit wonders. Comment down below if there's somebody you think I missed, director or actor-wise, or comment these that we've mentioned. Like, subscribe, share with the movie lover. Until next time, keep collecting.